Hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining our video presentation session presented by Dr. Poon Kai Tuk and his research team. This research project is about our investigation in the effects of objectification and aggression. This is a brief overview of the presentation. In the following slides, we will first talk about the project background and objectives and how the project objectives are realized. We will also go through the research outcomes and discover the other impacts and acknowledgement. Let us start by introducing the background and objectives of the project. Objectification is defined as being treated as an object that can be instrumentally manipulated. It is a phenomenon that is highly prevalent in daily life and has aroused considerable interest among researchers seeking to understand it, especially from the sexual perspective. For instance, some men may treat women as objects to satisfy their own sexual desires, or women's body being sexually used to promote products in commercials. Yet, sexual objectification was found to relate to many negative outcomes, such that sexually objectified women tend to perceive others as irritating and report lower levels of self-worth, well-being, and life satisfaction. Although prior studies have accumulated substantial knowledge about the impacts of objectification, what we currently know is very limited. Whereas prior studies have mainly focused on sexual objectification, relatively little research has examined how non-sexual forms of objectification influence people's psychosocial well-being. Therefore, the present research aims to fill the research gap by testing how non-sexual objectification could influence behavioral outcomes. In daily social interactions, it is common for people to experience performance-based objectification in different non-sexual domains. For instance, this can occur in the office when a worker was used as a tool to aid the supervisor's success, or at school, when students free-ride hard-working students to achieve good grades. This could even occur within families, when parents treat their child as a tool to imposing their own unfulfilled dreams onto their child without considering their actual dreams and needs. Thus, we believe that non-sexual objectification would lead to detrimental outcomes. Aggression is defined as behavior that is carried out with an intention to increase one's social dominance relative to the dominance position of others, thereby raising one's reproduction success. There are different forms or motives of aggression. For instance, people can choose aggression as a self-defense response to threats, such as defending their home or protecting resources. In contrast, people can also proactively engage in aggressive actions to increase their instrumental goals or hurt others. In the current research, we focused on testing aggression as a trait that demonstrates people's intention to hurt another person. Combining the two variables mentioned above, the current research aims to test the link between non-sexual objectification and aggression. As research has been showing that aggression could lead to physical and social damage, it is crucial to understand when and why people perform aggressive acts. Interpersonal factors should be one important cause for behaving aggressively, yet the literature lacks sufficient empirical investigation. Hence, the first objective of the current project is to test whether objectification, a highly prevalent interpersonal experience, increases people's aggressive tendencies. So, how exactly does objectification lead to aggression? We proposed that a lack of control plays an important role here. Objectification is a process of subjugation. When people are objectified, they are treated as mere tools or instruments that aid others to achieve certain goals. In turn, their autonomy, needs, feelings, and opportunities are often denied. Therefore, objectified people should perceive a lack of control over their situation. And because people have a strong need to master their destiny and actualize their potential, people should be motivated to behave in ways that can restore their thwarted feelings of control following objectification. We propose that objectification should increase aggression because aggressive behavior can restore thwarted feelings of control as it symbolically asserts superiority and control over others. Therefore, the second objective of the current research is to investigate whether lack of control would account for the effects of objectification on aggression. Although we predicted that objectified people should generally perceive lower levels of perceived control, it is possible that these thwarted feelings of control can be restored through situational interventions. Previous research has demonstrated that control restoration interventions can counteract many adverse effects of control deprivation. In the present research, we proposed that a control restoration intervention could ameliorate the effects of performance-based objectification on aggression. When the thwarted perceived control of objectified people is restored, they should be less likely to engage in aggressive behavior. Therefore, the third objective of the research is to test whether situational interventions can weaken the effects of objectification on aggression. In addition, the present research will also explore the role of context in influencing the relationship between objectification and aggression. We propose that objectification should only increase aggressive behavior when the context of the objectification is detrimental to their well-being. Objectified people should not behave aggressively when the context of the objectification is beneficial. Therefore, the fourth objective of the research is to examine whether the effects of objectification on aggression are moderated by the context where the objectification occurs. Now, we will discuss the realization of the project objectives. The project aims to test when and why objectification promotes aggression and to examine how to weaken the effects of objectification on aggression. All of the project objectives have been successfully achieved. To realize Objective 1 and 2, the research team formulated an innovative theoretical model that advances current knowledge of objectification. This conceptual model provides a new theoretical framework that explicates why objectification increases aggression through thwarted sense of control. Adopting a multi-method approach, we conducted a series of studies to test whether objectification, a detrimental interpersonal experience, increases people's tendencies to engage in aggressive behaviors. We also empirically examined whether thwarted sense of control mediates the effects of objectification on aggression, and whether other psychological processes may mediate the link between objectification and aggression. We found that objectification experiences decrease people's sense of control and increase their aggressive tendencies. We also tested and ruled out the potential effects of negative mood and misfortune, as these variables could not mediate the effects of objectification on aggression. To realize Objective 3, we also used our new theoretical model to explain why restoring objectified people's thwarted sense of control would reduce their aggressive tendencies. We empirically tested the effectiveness of a short intervention in weakening the effects of objectification on aggression. The results demonstrated that a short control restoration exercise, such that objectified participants are offered a chance to restore their thwarted sense of control, successfully reduced their aggressive tendencies. To realize Objective 4, our new theoretical model also highlights the significance of context in influencing the consequences of objectification and related forms of interpersonal maltreatment. We tested and found that the effects of objectification and related forms of interpersonal maltreatment are weakened if people perceive the context where the negative interpersonal experience occurs as non-detrimental to themselves. We will now talk about the research outcomes. In the present research, we developed a new theoretical model to explicate why objectification increases aggression through thwarted sense of control, and how a brief control restoration exercise weakens the effect of objectification on aggression. adopting a multi-method approach, our studies showed that participants who experienced objectification had higher levels of aggression. Moreover, our results further demonstrated the effectiveness of a short control restoration exercise in weakening people's aggressive tendencies following objectification. We also revealed that the effects of objectification-related interpersonal maltreatments on aggressive tendencies can be moderated by contextual factors. These findings were published in top-tier peer-reviewed international journals in psychology, such as Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, Aggressive Behavior, and Psychology of Violence. They were also presented in international conferences, including the Association for Psychological Science Annual Convention and the biannual World Meeting of the International Society for Research on Aggression. The current research provided converging empirical evidence showing that objectification thwarts people's sense of control, thereby increasing their tendencies to behave aggressively. In future studies, researchers may examine whether other psychological mechanisms can account for the effect of objectification on aggression. Moreover, the current research demonstrated that a short control restoration exercise was effective in weakening objectified people's aggressive tendencies. Future studies may examine whether it can also weaken other negative impacts of objectification and help people to cope with objectification adaptively. Lastly, the present research centered on the general form of objectification, yet it is noteworthy that objectification experiences lie in a spectrum of degrees, ranging from being mildly objectified by having personal needs neglected to being blatantly objectified by being manipulated as a tool to achieve certain purposes. Similarly, people can be objectified by different motives and reasons. To get a fuller picture of the impacts of objectification, future studies may examine how various degrees and forms of objectification influences people's aggression and other psychosocial outcomes. Here comes to the final part of the presentation, the other impacts and acknowledgements for the project. This project has facilitated our connections with different research teams. Notably, we have formed long-term research collaborations with researchers from the University of Hong Kong and the South China Normal University. Meanwhile, our project also served as a path to train our students and research staff, and all parties participated in the project have advanced their research-related skills. During the project period, Dr. Poon's hard work has been recognized, and he was honored to have received the Education University of Hong Kong's President's Award for Outstanding Performance in Research and the Association for Psychological Sciences Rising Star Award. Finally, Dr. Poon would like to show his deepest gratitude to all collaborators, research staff, and students for their dedication and quality production, as well as the Research Grant Council for their constant support. The project would not have been possible without their contributions. This is the end of the presentation, and we appreciate you joining us. Please feel free to contact Dr. Poon and his research team if you have any further inquiries. We hope to see you in another video very soon.